I have a running series on my channel, covering the best Killjoy lineups and setups for each of the maps on Valorant. I've covered all the maps so far, but now with the release of the new one, it's time for another installment. So here's the Complete Killjoy Guide for Breeze. The first setup I want to show you starts by placing your turret on the left corner of this ledge. This will be able to see enemies as soon as they enter in from cave and from A short. Alternatively, you can place a little bit more to the right to catch them later, or by placing it further back, around on this line on these tiles, you can still see as they come from cave and A short, but you'll also be able to see as they come from mid through this doorway. There are two main areas to consider for your alarm bot with this turret. The first one is A short, and the second one is cave. The problem with placing the cave before the buy phase ends though, is that this area is much too large for the alarm bot to cover. So if you're going to be placing your alarm bot down before the end of the buy phase, I suggest placing it at A short, just so that the detection circle touches both the corners of this doorway. Alternatively, you can wait until just after the buy phase ends, and then place your alarm bot in this corner to catch them sooner. If you want to place it in cave and wait for the buy phase to end, this doorway is still too big to place on either side, so you're going to have to place it so the detection circle touches both corners of it. As for swarm grenades, I suggest placing one right in front of this alarm bot to completely block off this area and prevent enemies from entering in. If you choose to put your alarm bot in this corner though, you can then place two swarm grenades, one about midway up this ramp and another one right at the entrance. This will completely block off this entire area. If you don't choose to put your alarm bot here, I still suggest placing a swarm grenade because your turret will be able to see them when they enter. You can then use your alarm bot here after the buy phase ends, or you can play it more defensively and catch them when they're going for a plant. The next setup I want to show you starts by placing your turret facing towards you on top of this box, angled a little bit to the left. This way, it'll still be able to see people right as they're coming out of A short, walking through this doorway. As well as seeing people as they cross over this box coming out of cave. There are a few different alarm bot locations that pair well with this turret. You can place it right at the entrance coming out of cave to catch them a little bit earlier than the turret will be able to see them. You can play a little bit more defensively and play it on sight to catch them when they're planting. Or, like before, you can place it right at the corner of this doorway to catch them at about the same time the turret will see them. And the next setup I want to show you starts by placing your turret on this bridge in the back of sight. This turret is half protected, making it more difficult to shoot, and will be able to see people as they come out of A short. This turret can't, however, see people coming out of cave until they're much further onto sight than this entrance. Therefore, I suggest placing your alarm bot after the buy phase ends, right at the entrance of the cave. The next turret placement I want to show you starts by standing on top of the second beam between these two pyramids, aiming at the top left of the pyramid, jumping and moving forward at the same time. If you click at the right time, you'll be able to place your turret on the top left corner of this pyramid. This turret has really good vision, being able to see all the way down A short, past even the doorway, and pretty deep into cave. You're then free to put your alarm bot in any number of the locations that I've shown you previously. The first lineup I want to show you starts by standing on this corner, putting the hotkey for your ultimate in the middle of the C on this sign, and jumping and throwing. This will land right between the two pyramids, which is a common place to plant the spike. Alternatively, you can stand a little bit beyond this highlight on the ground, line up with this zipline, and aim at this corner on this roof. It'll go right into this hole and land in a pretty similar spot, but it's much easier than the jumping one. The last lineup is by standing in this nook, aiming at the top of this leaf, jumping and throwing. It'll land on the right side of sight. The first setup for B site I want to show you starts by placing your turret on this line on the edge of these stairs. This will be able to see enemies as they're entering into this doorway at B main, as well as being able to see people as they're entering B short from mid. Alternatively, placing your turret facing you on the corner of this pillar will be able to get similar results just from a higher angle. As for alarm bots on this site, unfortunately the doorway at B main is just a little too big for the alarm bot to fully cover it from the edge, so you'd have to place it so the detection circle touches the doorway. Alternatively, placing it for short, you can place it right behind this box and will be able to fully cover the entire entrance. The next setup I want to show you starts by placing your turret facing towards you in this corner. This will be able to see people as they enter in from B main and take this route, and has some vision over B short as well. I oftentimes like to place a swarm grenade in this corner, and then stand back here with the turret, and whenever it goes off, I can pop the swarm grenade and catch the enemies. This turret unfortunately does have a blind spot in B short if they hug the right wall. For that reason, I always like to put an alarm bot here in order to help me out and cover this area which the turret cannot see. Once the alarm bot goes off, you do have a pretty good position to catch them as they come across this wall. The last setup I want to show you starts by placing your turret facing towards you in this corner. This will be able to see people right as they're entering in from B main onto site. You can then place one swarm grenade here to prevent people from entering when your turret goes off. I then suggest placing your alarm bot in one of these two locations, depending on which one you prefer, with the swarm grenade a little bit in front to prevent people from entering through here. You can then hold in the back of sight to watch both of these angles. A good lineup to remember is to stand underneath this doorway, aim at this loop in the wire, jump and throw. It'll land pretty much right on default.